The date, October 30th, 2023, and a scrappy ragtag group of marketing professionals will launch their first podcast episode and will forever change the Kansas regional marketing podcast genre forever. I am, of course, talking about this podcast, our podcast, the People's Podcast, Almost Productive. And this is our 2-year anniversary. 16 full-length episodes, 17 coffee break episodes, 33 episodes in total, with an overall listening time of 12 hours, 42 minutes, and 51 seconds. We're also an award-winning podcast, winning silver in the Davey Award for both series and co-hosts. So today, we'll take time and discuss what we learned in the last 2 years about making a podcast. We'll touch on our favorite moments and do some reminiscing. But first, this 2-year anniversary episode of Almost Productive is brought to you by 2-year-olds. As a father of 3, I've gotten to experience the joy of raising a 2-year-old a few times now. And watching your baby become their own person is the most... Sorry. Hey, get down from there. Hey, how did you even get up there? What do you have in your hand? What is it? Show it to me. Are you supposed to have that? No, stop. Don't put it in your mouth. Stop. Spit it out. Hey. Oh my God, where's your mother even at? Hey, okay, guys, sorry. Can you take it from here? Welcome to Almost Productive, a podcast mostly about marketing. I'm Sean.
I'm Julie.
And I'm Addie.
And we are all marketing professionals at New Boston Creative Group in Manhattan, Kansas.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Good luck taking care of that 2-year-old while he's stepping away. Here's a new voice for our listeners. Hi, this is producer Nick. You hear me every so often. And I'm just coming to y'all with some stats that I think is going to make us, as in the Almost Productive crew, kind of feel a little bit better about getting to our 2-year anniversary. So first off, we are we're just a small drop, I should say, in an ocean of podcasts. Okay, so according to Podcast Index, in 2025, there were over 4.5 million podcasts, and this number is only growing. It's a lot of podcasts.
Some could argue that's too many
podcasts. Right.
Interestingly enough, YouTube is the most frequent place to find a podcast. 31% of users started listening to a new podcast from YouTube. That's from Cumulus Media along with Signal Hill Insights. So if you want to fact check me, go there. So if you're doing a podcast, get that podcast out onto YouTube, especially. And then here's the fun stat that should really make us feel good about getting to this episode. So in the ocean of 4.5 million podcasts, 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 3.
Wow.
Whoa. Episode 3?
Mm-hmm. Episode 3. So I guess, you started off, maybe you're not getting the clicks or the views that you're wanting, and maybe you're just giving up. Not us.
That's crazy. No, not us. We're surrounded by quitters. Or I guess we've left the quitters in the dust. That's wild. 3 episodes? You got to give it time to bloom, people.
That's like a New Year's resolution.
Right. Like you've got that initial excitement, like you're going to do it.
Yeah.
And so you knock out maybe that first 1 or 2, and then that third one takes like a little bit extra effort. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I don't have time this week all of a sudden. And then it just falls off.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
And I should have prefaced it with this. So trying to find this stat, I just did a quick Google of, what's the average lifespan of a full podcast. So here's the journey I went down to find the source of this stat. So this is from Riverside, which is a podcasting platform. This is on one of their blogs. And they got it from a tweet, who posted a Reddit link.
Oh, my God.
Oh, geez.
From Entrepreneur, which tagged a YouTuber as its source.
Who is this YouTuber? How do we know that they can be trusted?
His name is Chris Williamson. Maybe I should have just reached out to him and said, "Where'd you find this stat?" So I should have prefaced it. That's where this stat comes from, but
High confidence. That's what I'm hearing.
But it's tagged. You go onto all sorts of sites. It's tagged on all of them. So now it must be true.
Wow.
But I thought there was an amazing journey down to see, okay, where's the source coming from? And I tried to find the source for all of this, and it led me back to Mr. Chris Williamson. So thank you, Chris. All right.
I feel like we should just start a new stat, and we'll post that and just get other people to credit that as the source. So we could be the lead on a new stat. We could just think of one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it should be beneficial to us. Like every podcast that starts with an A and lasts for at least 2 years will have audience growth of 300% in their third year of producing the podcast. Like something that's very specific to us.
Right. It's through our research, we found that over 95% of all podcasts that make it past the 2-year mark will then go on to then have 80% growth average across the board. That's what we found. So you can definitely tweet and link and Reddit thread that stat into your articles.
Correct. So 90% of podcasts don't get past episode 3. Of the remaining 10%, 90% don't make it to episode 20.
Okay.
So if you get to episode 21, you are in the top 1% of episode producers.
We did it.
We did it.
Are those stats also
podcast.
courtesy?
Yeah, is that the same guy?
This is the whole thing.
That's
this
so
is
funny.
this
That
is
was
the thing.
okay.
That's the whole statistics from Riverside, who got it from the tweet, who posted the Reddit link, which tagged Chris Williamson. So
Perfect.
There we go. Good job, y'all. Congratulations. We are in the top 1%.
Right. I should have
So
added that to the
1% of 4.5 million is 45,000. We did it.
Nice.
We did it.
Nice. Good quick math there, Julie.
intro. That's really good.
That was the most impressive thing out of
Right,
the
that
last
really
5
was.
minutes here.
Even
You
more
should-
impressive than our podcast.
Yeah. You should see me when I calculate a tip.
Let's give ourselves a pat on the back for being one of the top, what'd you say, 45,000?
Yeah.
45,000 podcasts out there.
Well, thank you, Nick. Those are great stats. And it makes me feel good about us. I mean, congrats.
Right.
All right. Well, I guess it's over to me for our learning portion.
Yeah, the educational portion of this podcast will now be headed by Julie.
Brought to you by Julie.
So, and there's a reason, because ever since I was younger, people said, "Do you want to be a teacher when you grow up?" And no, I don't. I do not have the patience for that. But I think I just give off that school marm vibe. So when we were talking about this podcast during our pre-production, my hand shot up like a little teacher's pet, ready to take on the learning portion. So, gang, sharpen your pencils and grab your trapper keepers. We're doing it. So we're going to talk about what we've learned and hopefully give you all some insights if you want to be among those 45,000, the lucky 45,000. What are some lessons you've learned about producing a podcast in the past 2 years?
I think the biggest thing is the importance of prepping. Like, I love to talk. I think that we all really enjoy talking. But the pre-production meeting, like Julie just alluded to, and the prep work that goes into hosting an episode is so important because it makes things flow more easily. Without that, if we just hopped on the mics, poor producer Nick would have a hell of a job trying to make us sound good, which he still does sometimes.
He already does.
But exactly. But the pre-production meeting and the prep work that goes in to kind of structure each episode is super important and kind of keeps us on the rails as much as possible and keeps things flowing smoothly.
Yeah, I can completely agree. That's the first thing that popped into my mind, especially when hearing those stats about how many don't make it to episode 3 or don't even make it to episode 20, is because it is a lot of work to figure out what the structure of the episodes are going to be, what your topic's going to be. We have multiple hosts. What's the rhythm of that? How long is the episode? What do you feel comfortable with? There's like so many little minor decisions that go into it that you don't really think about until you're in the middle of it. And so I can see why it's hard for people to stick with it, because you do have to put in the effort, not even just when you're recording, but in the pre and post phases.
The stuff I've learned is mostly been on the, I'd say, equipment and post-production side of things. So just learning how to run a microphone. Good Lord. Learning what microphones work, audio interfaces, and then just the post-production workflow and what at least works best for us. That took a little time to kind of get that, work out the kinks, so to say. I'm a tech head too, so it was fun going down those rabbit holes to learn all of the technical side. What's
been the most challenging aspect of producing the podcast?
I think it is coming up with topics, and this might be more so for us than maybe some others, because we don't do things that are specifically topical or timely. We try to make them more evergreen, and so we sort of really have to think through what are some different things that we think people would be interested in that are related to marketing, or at least in some way, so we can sort of provide the value that way without jumping on just something that's a trend that's, because our podcast may not be out even though we record it for another month or so. So it sort of needs to be able to last. And so that can be sort of tricky.
This is kind of related to that, but I think the most challenging, or nothing about this is really stressful, but the most stressful would be when we do try to do something topical, like the Super Bowl commercial episodes. Those do need to be turned around pretty quickly, because then no one cares. And the Super Bowl was last week and whatever, we've moved on to the next moment. So I think that those have been the most high pressure kinds of episodes, because we wanted to turn them around quickly and get something out.
I know for me, sometimes tripping over my words, or we have people who start to talk at the same time, like a Zoom call. It can be a little awkward. And that's a great illustration how much we say, and thank goodness for Nick, who helps clean some of that up for us. That's really helpful. But that's been challenging, because you don't notice it when you're just talking to someone. But then when you play an episode back and you hear it, and you hear these pauses that need to be tightened up and that sort of thing. So is that a challenge? Is that a lesson learned? Bit of both.
Yeah, it can be easy to get self-conscious when you do that once. You trip up over a script and then you try to read it again, or me try to read it again, or I'll start giggling and then I can't stop, and that's not helpful. So those are some challenges.
Right. Or you just become really aware that you've been talking for a while and maybe you haven't gotten to the point yet, because you haven't figured out how you're navigating to it yet, because it's not, you haven't pre-thought through it. It's it's just on the fly. I'm going to talk about this thing. And all of a sudden I'm like, what am I trying to say again?
What was the question?
Right.
And it feels like it matters more, because in everyday conversation, you can have a throwaway remark or whatever, the flow of a conversation happens. But when you're podcasting, you want to give your audience value. So if you're, talking for 3 minutes of fluff, then it's oh, well, that's not helpful.
Right.
Yeah. So what advice would you give other people thinking about starting a podcast?
I think it's because we talked about how difficult is the pre-planning process. And so my advice is really go hard on that. Really think through what you want your structure to be, the intro. Are you doing different sections and topics? Is every episode going to be structured the same way so you have something to fall back on? And then plan out multiple episodes ahead of time so you can get past that first 3. Because I think when we first started, we brainstormed a ton of topics, and I think because we had multiple hosts, we had, the first 4 sort of already prepared, like, in the running. I know not everybody's going to be able to do that, but if you planned out more than one, you're going to be more likely to do more than that first set that's going to get you into that top 1% like us.
And it's okay to change your mind. It's okay to switch things up. Look at it as an experiment. If you start doing something and it's not working, it's okay. It's not set in stone. You can change. The format involves voices and mics, and that's about it. And music beds, and okay, it involves a lot more. But look at your data. Oh God, of course I was going to say that. I wasn't even thinking about that. But, see what makes sense for you, what's working, what felt good, what didn't, and adjust as you go. So absolutely have the plan and revise the plan as needed.
And to that end, once you have a podcast episode ready to go, think about what your marketing strategy will be. It's great if you have a couple episodes and then you push those out through Apple or Spotify or YouTube, to Nick's point earlier. But how are people going to find you? If no one knows that you have a podcast, no one's going to listen. So think through your marketing strategy, your audience, where they are, and how you're going to reach them.
Yeah. And if you're not a celebrity, that's going to be hard. There are tons of celebrity podcasts. So really thinking about that audience is important.
And it takes time. 3 episodes isn't enough time to gather any data. You don't have anything to look at. What does your audience like? Well, I don't know. You only released 3 episodes. So the longer that you can go, the more information you have to better tailor to what your audience enjoys. Yeah, and finding an audience, that won't happen overnight.
Yeah. And something we did regarding that is we started off with our plan of these full-length episodes. We weren't even calling them full length. We were just calling them episodes. And we decided, hey, what if we did some shorter ones? And thus the coffee break was born. So we have topics that require a bit more time that we can dive deeper in. And we have others that are like a little lighter, a little shorter, but still give you that marketing buzz.
Exactly.
And then just as an example of being able to market, what we do is create 2 different types of promos that Addie then pushes out onto Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, in
LinkedIn.
order. Thank you. Yeah, LinkedIn, in order to try to get eyes onto just the fact that we exist. That's what we do. Find ways that work for you to promote your podcast.
And for some people, if you're an individual starting your own podcast, that might be too much. You might not be able to produce this podcast prep, and if you have a full-time job that's not podcasting. So thinking about outsourcing some of those marketing materials isn't a bad idea either, to make sure that those are consistent and clean and look and feel the way you want them to.
Yeah. And Nick talked about this at the beginning. Have a technical person. Nick looked into which mics should we get and how should we record to make sure we've got the best sound that we can get. That's invaluable, because if you have crappy audio, no one wants to hear that.
No.
Period. Is there a podcasting myth that you want to bust or confirm?
I guess you can confirm that everyone and their mother has a podcast these days.
Confirmed.
However, it takes time, and it takes that effort and consistency and patience in order to kind of like keep up with it. So everybody might have one, but that doesn't mean that they're sticking to it. And if it's important to you, you'll find ways to stick to it.
I don't know if this is a myth or if people think that this is true, but data around podcasting is very hard to cobble together. So you have Apple Podcasts and YouTube and Spotify, and they all report different metrics, and they don't all talk to each other, though they claim to. And so finding what resonates with your audience can actually be kind of a challenge. So I don't know if people think that's easy, but if they do, I'll bust that myth. It's pretty tricky to find all of that information.
Yeah. Another one is, okay, 4.5 million podcasts. we encounter people who are like, well, I don't listen to podcasts, and no one does. And there is data that you're wrong. Tons of people listen to podcasts. Those listeners are really engaged, especially advertising on podcasts is a great way to reach your target audience if you do the research and you know what they're listening to. So there is a lot of data around this is a great medium to get into, whether you're running a podcast, you're producing your own, or advertising on them. So podcasts may not be for you, but you're not listening if they aren't. But they're for a lot more people than you realize.
And not just young people. I think that that's a big misconception, that only the younger generations listen to podcasts, and that's just not true either.
Yeah. Well, that's it from me. A+, everyone. A+.
Yay, Julie. Well, this doesn't cast me in the best light, but if we're yin and yang, Julie and I, and Julie's the nice professional teacher, I'm here with the fun questions. So
You're the substitute that comes in with the video, the reels and the TV and the VCR.
Oh, that's me, Teacher Addie, substitute Teacher Addie, with no rules. So wheels are coming off, I guess, with these fun questions. Super fun about data and podcasting coming your way. So
Woo!
get ready.
Numbers!
Woohoo! Yes. So my first one is, what's been the most surprising part about hosting a podcast? Or in Nick's case, producing a podcast?
I mean, we've touched on some of it, but more from the lens of like learning. And I don't know if it's surprising because I've worked with you all, but just how funny our sponsors are, that always delights me. And like even today, Sean said, oh, I threw this intro together and it was amazing. Like, I love the creativity. I'm always surprised by what you all come up with and how you present a topic. So that's been a continuing happy surprise for me.
I guess the fact that we've made it 2 years is actually kind of a little surprising because we get so busy with doing our actual like client work and all that kind of stuff that this is, something that we do for us a lot. We do it as outreach a little. So it's like something that would be really easy to be like, we don't have time to keep doing the podcast because we've got so many projects to do. And I think I'm really proud of us for sticking with it. And I think we do it because it is fun. It is a lot of fun to do. But I guess that'd be the one I'll go with as a surprise.
I think those are both great answers, and I would co-sign on all of the above. Nick, do you have an answer?
We have gotten a couple inquiries because of the podcast. I don't know if it's been actually led to business, but there have been a couple of people that have reached out, and they said that they listened to it and they liked what they heard.
And that surprised you. You were like, people are listening to these three? That's weird.
Actually, yeah, that's probably the surprise is, oh, okay. But it's nice to know that, it's getting out to, it's getting out to someone.
We've also been hired to consult on some podcast work. And it's one of those things that if you don't have experience doing it, you really can't advise others. You can read about it, sure, but you're not going to have the same knowledge base. So I've really enjoyed the work that's come from it too, helping other podcasters get off the ground.
Absolutely. So this next one, I know Julie's not going to like because
it's a favorite.
It is. It's a favorite. You can give me a couple, but the question is, has there been a favorite moment from our time hosting and recording the podcast?
There was an episode that Ben hosted where I guessed an unhinged social media trivia question, and I was so excited about that. We used it in one of our promos. That was a favorite moment.
I have a short quiz for y'all, and it's basically guess the word or phrase that has been omitted from this real post by Duolingo. So Elmo said, Elmo thought you might need this, bunch of red hearts. Duo said, no, Elmo, I need to know blank, blank, blank.
Okay, I'm going to say Dua Lipa's number.
That's it.
Nice.
You nailed it. No, Elmo, I need to know Dua Lipa's number. You nailed it, Julie.
Hosting, I did an episode about insurance company mascots and like who would win in a cage match. And not a single moment from that, but it was just so funny what you all came up with and who everyone chose and how each person interpreted the matchups and envisioned those. So that was a highlight. That was early days, and that was really energizing.
It was a very funny episode.
Yeah, it's hard to pinpoint. I'll say that some of my favorite moments are when we're discussing some of the Super Bowl commercials, because we each have such a different opinion of what we enjoy, that it's always funny to sort of go around and discuss one, and someone's like hates it and then someone loves it, and you just sort of see like the gamut that it runs for different people, and those are always fun moments.
Definitely. Nick, anything from you?
Gosh, there's just so many. It's hard to choose just one. Hearing the sponsors, because the sponsors don't trust me with their ad reads before the shows. So I know it goes to y'all. It goes to y'all first, right? So it's a real treat for me to get to hear the sponsorships each time.
Thank you to all the sponsors, as Addie was about to say. And then I jumped in because I wanted to say that another fun moment is when we ask each other those sort of like would you rather type questions, and then we spend 15 minutes dissecting the question to get any little loophole we can in order to make a decision. That's always really fun.
Yeah, just poke holes.
Right.
We're getting into the really meaty discussion of if you were to win the lottery, but there's some stipulations. You only have one day to spend the money. And you can't buy a house, you can't start a fund, you can't buy stocks and bonds and whatever. It has to be strictly material. What are you buying?
Well, if you already have a house, can you pay off your mortgage?
No, nope, none of that.
It's like only fun
Ew.
things, not adult life things.
Oh, yeah.
I think the easy answer is just like massive vacation, best hotels, jumping many, many countries, I think is
But
the easy.
if you only have one day to spend it, does that mean you only have one day to use it? Like, do you need to get on a plane for 24 hours and go crazy?
I just assumed I had to book all those materials in a day.
I think you just have to book all of them in a day.
Okay.
Like whatever you have, then you get to keep and use and have forever, or until you lose it or experience it, and then it's over.
But if you don't purchase the meals ahead of time, you don't have like a meal pass, everything you buy when you're there, anything you want to bring back as a souvenir, that's your own cash.
Good call. So I need to also load up on like Visa gift cards sort of situation.
This could be its own segment where we ask really simple, like, would you rather, really easy run-of-the-mill questions, and you guys just poke holes in it. Like,
Right. The fun's on the edges.
Brand for us. Why not get like 1,000 gift cards? Be like, woo, make it rain at the retailer
because
of your
that's
choice.
not the game, you guys. Because that's not the game.
Right. Addie wants us to say, 100 pounds of gummy bears. Learned a ton. Pretty much any episode I'm not hosting is like, oh, wow. Because you guys are always bringing information that I just never deal with.
Particularly because Sean works in kind of a different section of the business than Julie and I. Those are always super informative episodes. Anything that Sean hosts, because that's just not my world, like graphic design and web design, not my day-to-day. So those are always fun and really educational.
Yeah, kind of a combo for me was when we had our guest on with Chelsea, one of our graphic designers. And that was really fun because we hadn't done a guest before. And so not only did I was it fun, but I also learned some differences between her design sensibility and Sean's design sensibility. So like when we had our this or that questions, quite often they had differing answers, but so you've got two designers, two perspectives, but they still create great work. And that was really interesting.
My last question here is, what has been the best part about this process overall? Or what have you enjoyed the most about this process? And Julie, you don't have to pick one thing. You can give me a couple if you want.
I feel like we've said a lot. I've said a lot, like brainstorming with you all, hosting with you all, working with the sponsors to develop their commercials. Those are some highlights for me. And also, just whenever we sit down, I love recording days.
Yeah, I think it's just our banter, our relationship, how well it's worked doing this. Because I guess, it wasn't obvious that like, oh, we're going to do this and have multiple hosts and like it'll work and it'll make sense and like we'll vibe in this way. Like that wasn't for sure. It could have just not worked, but I think it absolutely has.
Yeah, that's a good point. That really could have been awkward. What if one of us was like a weak link or one of us didn't gel and then we'd have to fire that person, not from New Boston, but just from the podcast? That would be so
Right.
sad. And I'll piggyback off of most of Julie's. Yeah, just recording days are so much fun. This is such a fun activity to do, especially because it feels like professional development a little bit because we're learning so much, but it's like framed as this very entertaining platform where we get to just chit chat and yap, which I love. So it's, yeah, all in all, become one of my favorite parts of the job for sure.
It's not about the views. It's not about the number of episodes. It's not about the money you make or may make. It's about the friends you make along the way.
Aww. Well, thank you, Nick. That feels like a great place to wrap up. Those were the last of my questions.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary,
Happy
gang.
anniversary.
What's the 2-year gift?
2 turtle doves.
It's
No, wait.
cotton.
Cotton.
So if we were going to give each other a gift of cotton, what would it be?
It would be a t-shirt that says
Right.
clap on clap.
Oh,
nailed it.
brilliant.
You nailed it.
Brilliant.
That's it. Yeah, that we need to start merch.
Q-tips.
I just want that one
just for us.
t-shirt. That's all I want.
Clap
Clap
on
on
clap.
clap.
Clap on clap.
But now I need to explain because that's something no one ever hears.
But
Oh,
maybe that's
that's
the
right,
beauty
yeah.
of it. It's like
That's
this
true.
little
It's just
Easter
an
egg that
inside
only
joke.
the 4 of us know. So to officially wrap up the episode, I do have a couple of jokes for us. And as usual, I started with ChatGPT, and every time I say this, and I'm going to repeat myself because it bears repeating, it is so unfunny. AI could not be less funny. It feels like comedy isn't easy, but it feels like something with the technology that we have these days, it should be better. It's just disappointing every time. So the good people of Reddit had these couple of jokes. The first one. It wasn't an easy start for the person who invented the microphone. They got some really bad feedback.
Solid.
Nice. But
Exactly. Okay, last one is similar structure. Man, I hate hidden microphones. They bug me so much. But
Nice. Perfect.
our anniversary coincides with Halloween, and I actually turned to AI earlier today for some Halloween puns, and I got a new one. You always expect like spooktacular, but it said, "Don't be a jerk-o'-lantern."
That's so bad it's good.
I know.
Be a jerk.
AI with the insult humor.
So it can do puns. It just can't do proper jokes.
Yeah, I guess not.
Wordplay. Well, yeah, congratulations. Happy anniversary. 2 years.
Yay.
There ends our
Yay.
2-year episode.
Let's go for 3, gang.
Woohoo!
Woo!
Thank you for listening to this episode of Almost Productive. If you'd like to learn more about what we do at New Boston Creative Group, you can reach us at newbostoncreative.com. You can also follow us on social media at New Boston Creative on Instagram and New Boston Creative Group on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you like this episode, please like, follow, subscribe, leave a review, and share the podcast with your friends. And if you didn't like the show, feel free to recommend us to your enemies. Tune in next time for some more office shenanigans, thoughts on trending topics, and marketing adjacent insight. Until next time, we hope you have a productive day.